And we are live. Welcome to NBA Live Before Lock, Monday, November 10th. I am Josh Engleman. This is Eric Lindquist. And we're going to break down all the way up until lock at 7 p.m. We got 8 games on the DraftKings slate, 9 overall tonight. Lots to talk about because it looks a little different than it did this morning because ultimately we ended up getting no Tobias Harris or Isaiah Stewart, and that changed up some of this look. A lot of these names still look familiar, but we'll talk about all of them throughout the rest of this show. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live, and follow us both on Twitter. It's Ron Holland season, baby. You ready?
Well, last week we hit pretty good on Detroit value with Isaiah Stewart. It was a little different at 6%, 5%, depending on what you were playing in. But I would say, obviously, we're going to talk about Detroit again today, but the ownership numbers on some of these guys are absurd. There's a guy that I like right now, kind of pending how everything pans out with Asar Thompson. I mean, it's so wild that Detroit matters as much as what they do on this slate, but they're on a back-to-back, and it almost doesn't matter for guys like Duren and Cunningham. They're just going to play a boatload and then try to figure out what other idiots to take shots on. That'll be fun.
There's going to be some idiots today, that's for sure. We're going to get to them. Let's start at the top with what we've got going on for Detroit. So no Tobias Harris, no Isaiah Stewart. We're expecting to get Ron Holland into the starting lineup. And by having no Isaiah Stewart, that means we need a backup center. $3,300 Paul Reed today is 20% owned, 32% optimal. I think the Ron Holland piece is like not all that difficult to talk about. If he's starting, he's $4,300 and he's like $1,500 too cheap for what his role is going to be, along with an MPE. I think Paul Reed's the talking point because we've watched Jalen Duren be awesome so far this season. I don't think it's all that surprising to see him pulling this kind of ownership in a matchup against the Wizards. But how do you want to handle the Paul Reed experience? Because it's a very distinct play to get to a $3,300 backup center.
I think they're going to have to share the floor together. I think that's the conversation to have, Josh. Can Paul Reed and Jalen Duren share the floor together? Because we were saying coming into this year that Stewart and him couldn't, and I kind of disagreed with it. Then there are the 24 minutes of overlap, which is the whole reason that I brought him up as the potential starter against a big front court in Memphis. Is there a world where they could entertain playing Paul Reed and him together if Asar Thompson's out? If Asar Thompson's in, I think Paul Reed's somebody that I'm very willing to hit eject on, but like they don't have a lot of front court / 3 and 4s and 5s. Like they don't have a lot of them available to them. They're front loaded at guard, but Cade Cunningham absorbs so many of those minutes, it almost doesn't matter. And they'd have to play small in a lot of spots where I don't think that's really what you want to do. Like you can play bully ball against the Wizards. They're terrible. Well, you can do whatever you want against the Wizards when you have Cade Cunningham and Duren, but like, I think that's kind of why I wanted to get your opinion from a real basketball take, because they've never really done it. Can Paul Reed and him share the floor together?
They've played 5 possessions alongside of each other, going back 3 years. Reed has been in and out of Detroit in that scenario.
Are those just like offensive rebound spots where it's like you get the 2 bigs on the floor and you go the other direction? I
would imagine it's like for free throws, defense, that kind of stuff. I would be very surprised if they played alongside each other today. I don't see that coming, but it's not a 0% chance, but they don't seem to want to play Paul Reed ever anyway. I think he's just going to play any minute that Jalen Duren isn't on the floor, and I think there are potential minutes where neither one of them are on the floor.
See, those are the minutes I don't understand. What in God's green earth they would do, not having one of the two. Like, if there's foul
it'd be
trouble,
Isaac Jones.
Yeah, God, he's
bigger than Paul Reed.
He is bigger than Paul Reed, but also that's who I think could end up playing some backup center to some extent for a couple of minutes. Like, This is, I think, kind of the crux of the slate to me, because it's a 3,300 good fantasy producer that if he somehow plays more minutes than you project, you just want to have infinite amounts at 22%. He is our most leveraged basketball player in the boom bust tool at the moment. He is indisputably, if he plays 18 minutes, you'd want 100% of him, right? Like, right?
Yeah, I think so. Something close to that.
On this slate, like there's not an abundance of value. We're going to get a chalky Anthony Black. We're going to get Jeremiah Fears. We're going to get like the typical high 4s, low 5s guys. But 3K, this is the only player in the 3s that I have interest in lineups, period. Like I don't have another guy in the 3s in a lineup for me right now in 40 lineups.
So I have to ask the follow-up question here because I think this is important. We're talking about Paul Reed being a great value option. He's center only. He's 3,300. We've got him with aggressive positive leverage. The guy in front of him, 7,700, and the second most owned guy on today's slate at around 50% owned. Are you playing Paul Reed with Jalen Duren regularly? Are you playing Paul Reed at the expense of Jalen Duren? Both? Probably both, like at least in some volume, depending on how many lineups you have. But I don't like it that way for sure, because at that point in time, if you're paying $7,700 for Jalen Duren, the ceiling game of Jalen Duren is probably not going to involve Paul Reed as much. And then we're thinking about Paul Reed having to just smash, not necessarily fall into extra time.
And that's why the whole point of them playing together matters so much. If you're confused on why I'm talking about it right from the onset, it's because otherwise you have 36, 37 minutes of Duren and you're getting 10 to 12 of Paul Reed. That's what happened yesterday. So if you look at the box score from yesterday on Popcorn Machine, you got 10 and a half minutes for him against his former team, that like a team you would think Paul Reed would be semi-incentivized to play really hard and well against. The Pistons just don't like him. They gave him money to just sit on the bench, which is wild, but there was a changeover in coaching staff, I believe, when that occurred. So maybe a different philosophy in terms of what you want on the floor, how you go about playing things. I don't think it was Bickerstaff there for the acquisition.
He's been there for a year and whatever this is. He was there beginning of last year.
So he wasn't there for the original acquisition of Paul Reed.
No.
That's what I was kind of getting at. So
that was the year before.
Not that it has to be like a Bill Parcells, like if I'm going to cook the food, I want to, buy the ingredients kind of thing. Like it's different, but Jalen Duren is a really, really, really good play in terms of like getting away from Duren. That's not the question for me. It's just simply what I want to do with Paul Reed in those lineups. And right now it's about split 50-50 in lineups that I have both of them in. The next best center option that we have is Nurkic. So a lot of what's happening is like my utility isn't even necessarily another center or anything of that nature. It's just kind of like next best available value as I'm looking at like my top 50 lineups, top 150 lineups. And I'm just torn on whether or not I think they can actually, I'm kind of leaning on your side where I don't think they can share the floor together. So what you're hoping is that Duren, it's a back-to-back and they just eviscerate him and he gets blowout run, which is very likely against Washington. They're double-digit favorites still. It's not like that's gone anywhere. Or you just say, hey, I have 2 lineup spots that I'm going to eat up, and I know I'm getting 100% of the center minutes of Detroit against them, whereas like sometimes you're hitting and missing and guessing, but like, I don't know. It's just such an uncomfortable play on this slate at 3,300 because there's nothing else like him that exists on the board, and I think probably what I would want to do is my non-Duren lineups just guaranteed that I have Paul Reed. Like, I think that's more important to me than like even worrying about the lineups that I have the 2 of them in together. I know I'm bouncing all over the place with this one, but it's so important.
I think the looking at center like this is interesting because Jalen Duren is your most exposed center today at 50%. Paul Reed's next at 22. And then there's only 3 guys that are north of 10 at that point. Derek Queen, Yusuf Nurkic, and Mark Williams. And then we just have this sea of dudes that are unowned that play. Sarr, Gobert, Jared Allen, Miles Turner. These are all like Khalil Ware, Wendell Carter Jr., Vooch. These are Wemby. These are all real names that are at center today, pulling nothing whatsoever. And that's sort of what I'm looking at with Paul Reed. Because Duren, I have nothing to say. Like, he should just go out there, and if he's not in foul trouble, 32 minutes, he should just nuke this Washington front court by default. But, like, am I just better off instead of having Paul Reed having Wemby? Like, I know how preposterous those things sound, and they're 2 completely different things, but there's a lot of center talent out here with sizable boom rates and no ownership whatsoever. This might just be the easiest place to be different.
Yeah, and I'm batting 1,000, so I'm very nervous about saying this too. But like, there's a starting lineup that I'm a little curious what you think about on today's slate. Can you guess which one I might be kind of flip-flopping about on who gets the start? Because we've only seen one start for a guy that is in it now, his first game back. And I'm not convinced against this specific matchup that that's something that they might want to do. The Utah Jazz is the team I'm talking about.
So you're talking Collier?
I'm thinking Filipowski has a chance to start and get back into it. And like, if we get a 4K Filipowski starting, so Utah's on a back-to-back. That's part one, is that Utah plays again tomorrow. And the other part of this equation is Isaiah Collier didn't exactly look great in his first outing. They didn't exactly look like they played very congruent basketball together. I don't know if that's something that they're just going to be set into, but like, remember how much lineup turnover we had last year, almost by necessity. Like Utah would rest Markin in here. They didn't care about that. They didn't care about this. And Utah is actively still trying to win games. It is November 10th. But I do think there's a world where, because it's a back-to-back, if you know you're going to hold out Collier tomorrow, you'd obviously start him today. Maybe you want to limit his minutes to some extent so that he plays both sides of it, and you want to just have him in the backup capacity. And that would open up Filipowski, where I think against a front court of Randall and Gobert, it makes a lot of sense to have him out there. They don't have Walker Kessler now for the rest of the year. And you could slide Laurie down to the 3, because Jaden McDaniels is going to probably be, I would think probably on him a little bit more. I think the Filipowski wrinkle is kind of an interesting one, if I'm thinking about this correctly. But if they weren't on a back-to-back, I wouldn't care. But like, if Collier's just going to play one side of it, he probably starts, and everything I'm talking about is a moot point.
And I'm just trying to think about what that matchup ends up looking like in terms of who.
Because Nas is going to come off the bench too, and it's going to open up a lot of time. I like Filipowski as a standalone play at 4K no matter what, but it's just a question of how much I want to get to. And what I do with him gives me a piece of value. It's not 3,300 by any means, but I get that center spot back. I get to play more centers like Mark Williams, who I think is very interesting for today's slate. I get to play just all the Duren and not worry too much about Paul Reed minutes, and hope that game just stays somewhat intact and we get the 36 minutes for him. But I don't know. Just wanted to get your take on the Utah one, because I think if you can find pieces of value like that aren't announced before lock, which this would not be, I think you're really finding an edge beyond like the rake. Like, we're finding an 18, 20% edge if you're right about Filipowski immediately.
I don't think they're going to change the lineup.
Okay.
The status of Taylor Hendricks matters to a degree.
That's part of it.
This team just plays everybody 20 minutes. And I can't, it's really hard for me to want to take a bench Jazz player when really the only 2.5 people that I want to roster for the Jazz are Lauri Markkanen and Keontae George and Yusuf Nurkic, depending on the lineup. I don't think I can go to anything else here, because I think they're just going to play everybody. Like, I don't think Filipowski gets more minutes. They just play Cody Williams 10 and Slow-Mo 10 and Elijah Harkless 10 and Bryce Sensabaugh 10. And then we all just hate every single piece of Utah.
But
is my assumption for how this goes, at least.
Right? Anderson's questionable as well?
He is. Okay. You can swap him out for Kevin Love in this scenario if you'd like, since they had no problem dusting that dude off for 15 minutes, 3 straight games.
Wild.
Like, they play everybody. They play everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, hold on. Is this right? 5, 9, 10, 11. I mean, they played everybody the last time out. They played 15 dudes.
You brought up the other guy that I think is like not a 1-for-1 pivot, but like, I've thought about Kevin Love today. Just what happens if both of those guys sit, Kyle Anderson and Hendricks, who are both the two guys that are questionable. That's part of the impetus of the Kyle Filipowski, kind of what got my brain thinking about it. But like, you're going to get information if you have like a build and you go in the Sims and you build it out and you're just like, all right, I don't want to play Duren and I don't want to play Paul Reed in a lineup together. Like, if both end up out, Kevin Love comes into like consideration, like even in just a 15 minutes, he could play 5 more minutes than Paul Reed in this spot. Like, that's a legitimate possibility. And he's as good of a fantasy, well, not as good of a fantasy producer, but close, pretty darn close. Like, Kevin Love doesn't suck when he actually gets out on the floor. So, yeah, I really want I really want the idea of like Kyle Filipowski in the back of everybody's head. Cause like I wasn't going to make him nuke of the night, but there's a lot of dependent things. If this wasn't a back-to-back, like I wouldn't probably care as much, but like there's a part of me that thinks they might just be holding both of those guys out to just utilize them tomorrow when they know they won't have Collier.
For the record, I do like Filipowski as a value option for someone that's like gonna play today. Power forward, center, 4K. I like every piece of that. I'm not confident he falls into any real other minutes. I think the path that I want to take is getting to all these dudes that are real that aren't getting any love, whether that's Sarr, Gobert, Allen, Turner. I don't really have a preference there. None of these guys are owned in any way, and like one of them's going for 50 tonight.
Yeah, and we just saw the Minnesota-Utah matchup on Friday in Minnesota. Yeah. My parents were at that game, and they said Rudy Gobert was the best player on the floor, and I started laughing. And then I saw the box score, and I was like, all right, maybe there was, I don't know, like maybe watch the freaking game. You have Anthony. Oh, good. Josh Giddey's out. Great.
Do you see the reason?
Yeah,
from Underdog?
DeAndre Hunter attached.
DeAndre Hunter. All right. No Giddey, no cry. Let's talk about it because this is massive. And everything that we've been talking about so far has just changed a little bit. Josh Giddey out, $9,700, 30 plus minutes, as many touches as you could possibly imagine. Whether it's Ayo Dosunmu, Trey Jones, Kevin Huerter, stock up across the board here.
Yeah, it's you're taking the most fantasy viable guy on the team, and you are just eliminating him. And I mean, Trey Jones just looks outrageous in terms of assist rate. Ayo Dosunmu, assuming he starts at 4,200, is your best piece of value, bar none. San Antonio on the other side, pace is still going to stay north of 228, 230, no matter what. I assume we're going to get a lot of Patrick Williams, a lot of Bazelis, we're just going to get everybody on this team. And then Vooch, who is 3%, is going to be probably my favorite tournament center play, period, because everything is going to, how much usage are we going to be allocating to him? It's just going to look ridiculous. But like, Ayo is your best piece of value on the slate now, and I don't think it's close.
I think we need to have a Kevin Huerter conversation slightly, but Huerter at 4,800 without the same eligibility. I think they should start Kevin Huerter. I don't think they're going to do that, though.
I don't either. And I like Kevin Huerter for tournaments no matter what. I made Kevin Huerter like a nuke of the night last week at some point, I think. But my guess is that you get Trey Jones, Ayo Dosunmu, Isaac Okoro, like the standard with the insertion of Ayo, right? Like that's the chalk.
I just keep looking at this team and thinking they need to start Kevin Huerter to maintain the offense. But I mean, ultimately, like they're probably both going to get like 28 to 30 minutes either way. So I think it's largely a moot point, but I mean, Ayo with that price tag and eligibility, it really isn't going to make much of a difference. I mean, they got a lot of minutes to go around now and a lot of touches to go around now.
Yeah.
S&P said, doesn't Ayo still have a soft minutes limit? Hard to say. Played 23 last time, 20 the game before that. He played 29 in the game before missing those two. I think that like 28 number makes the most sense. Just off the top of my head. I mean, we're obviously going to get projections updates from our boys in the back as we're sitting here. I'm trying to do a little bit of an update for myself just to eyeball it a little bit.
Yeah, rates are also a thing. So you take Josh Giddey off the floor over the course of the last calendar year, Vooch becomes a 1.3 fantasy point per minute guy. So he is looking really, really nice.
You're not nervous about that at all? He's got a slightly different matchup than an average matchup.
I don't know. We just saw Alperen Şengün do just fine against Wemby. I don't know. A little bully ball.
Well, those are slightly two different guys in talent.
Yeah, but also Vooch can step out and shoot a little bit. Like there is at least not the element that he has to get it all done on the interior. There's that. He's going to get flat bludgeoned when it comes to actually playing some serious stuff. Ayo Dosunmu will not have a minutes limit. Okay, well.
There we go.
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
I mean, I assume if we're getting that announcement, it also is a likelihood that he's starting. Just
yes.
You don't normally announce non-minutes limits for bench dudes in these scenarios. So
like we'll just limit him because he's already limited for the first 6 minutes of the game.
Yeah. I'm guessing Dalen Terry and Julian Phillips play a bit.
Man, this is interesting because now we're going to get this news before we got the Detroit news, which locks earlier. And my assumption right now is that we don't get Asar Thompson playing on the back-to-back, but I guess it wouldn't shock me either way. Karis LeVert also would really surprise me if he played. So we're going to get like Javonte Green or something on the Detroit side. I know formerly of the Bulls to make it even more confusing, but Io, Trey Jones just look fantabulous. And then I'm going to love Vooch. I mean, Vooch has played like a different role lately for this team because Josh Giddey's just been on one and they keep winning. And it's just like, all right, we'll just keep them to low 30s. This is a spot where you could ramp them up to 34, 35 if need be. And obviously you probably want more of that than Jalen Smith on the floor, but I'm putting this in right now. All right. So Giddey out. Smith.
Giddey off since the beginning of last year. Vooch 900 minutes, 23% usage rate. Kobe White 26% usage rate. Conveniently not playing here. So when we take Kobe White off,
I knew I had to do something. That was my mistake. I needed to take Kobe White off as well.
703 possessions, still a 23% usage rate. Oh, we got to get Zach LaVine the hell out of here too. Totally forgot.
Ball, who's very fantasy viable. I mean, we are just doing some fuckery on this end.
I'm pretty confident Lonzo's sample here isn't going to be that huge.
Oh, that's true. He was dead.
By taking those three guys off, Vooch is at 118 minutes remaining, gets to like 25% usage. He's going to be in that area.
I was going to say, because I just copied it 1-for-1 off of Add More Funds, and I was like, wait, he shouldn't be at 23 and change. And I was like, all right, yeah, Kobe White. That is a pretty important one to be attaching to it too. I kept LaVine in just because it's like half the season, and I don't want to have like a 100-minute sample size kind of a deal at the moment. But yeah, THT's not there, who also could demand some stuff. Like Io already. I mean, Io's indisputable there. Trey Jones north of a 30% assist percentage. Like he's a 0.96 fantasy guy with only a 17% usage in 200 minutes with those three off the floor. I'm looking at Vooch right now, getting that up to a 1.35 DraftKings points per minute rate. I'll trim it down a little bit just because of the matchup, but like just kind of doing some quick hand math on it. I can tell you right now.
Dosunmu looks crazy now.
Yeah, he is by far the best piece. Trey Jones is going to look really good.
I've got Trey Jones looking second here. I do want to say this because it's going to go lost in this conversation a little bit, but everything that just happened here makes me more interested in Victor Wembanyama because now I have even more value to get to these payups.
Agreed.
And Victor Wembanyama should absolutely eviscerate this team today if he's feeling it.
Yeah, I really like the idea of like Vooch Wemby game stack and hope that Washington I guess here's probably what's freaky about that. I like the idea of maybe Paul Reed Wemby.
Sure.
Where you get away from a 50% owned piece, either through foul trouble or blowout on the second end of a back-to-back. And if you're building out one lineup, I think this is your path to getting away from Jalen Duren now, is the centers, one of them from this game, and getting to Paul Reed as well, potentially as like your punt guy, and hoping you get 16, 18 from him, mainly from blowout run or failure of Duren. Like this is probably my path now, because I didn't see a path away from Jalen Duren before this news.
I'm very curious to see where all of this redistributes now and what this is going to look like, because we still have to talk about another mid-fours guard forward eligibility guy. Would you rather play Anthony Black or Io Dosunmu or both?
Io by a mile. Like,
yeah.
Jalen Suggs is the only guy removed. So yeah, Anthony Black, assuming that he ends up starting and doing his normal role here in the absence of Jalen Suggs, he still is competing for usage amongst Desmond Bane, Franz Wagner, Paulo Banchero, and Wendell Carter Jr. It is very difficult for me to imagine a scenario where we get Anthony Black. Like, I was probably going to be under on Anthony Black no matter how things panned out. He's so easy to get into lineups, or was before. 4,700s, shooting guard, small forward. find a way to have a point guard who just has phenomenal eligibility, shooting guard, small forward, and, can find himself into some extra stats there. Played 33 minutes. What was that, against Boston on the front end there? 2 before it, because they played Boston back to back, I guess. But I got to think even in 30 minutes, he's not going to pale in comparison to Ayo. Like, not even close.
I think we need to talk about one other guy that we haven't touched on yet. And it's, at this point, this might change based on the value that is going to be popping up here. But the most popular pay-up option today is $8,600 Anthony Edwards. Shooting guard only 23% owned prior to this in a very tasty matchup against the Utah Jazz, like we talked about before. Luka Doncic hot on his heels. I mean, at $12K, technically, that's probably like the true payout, but $8,600 for Ant. Luka at 12, and then all of the pay-up stuff just kind of goes away. How are you feeling about your boy?
I don't feel great about it, purely because yesterday, playing, they just ran Sacramento out of the gym. So 30 minutes for Ant is like nothing, but he's coming off of a hamstring injury. Like, this is the main concern I have, is like, I thought there was a world where we would just hear Anthony Edwards was out today. Like, we're playing Utah. We don't need him necessarily. He's our franchise guy, but Anthony Edwards is just, he's like a Wolverine. He like regenerates apparently, or like he goes to the locker room with a banged up knee once a game and comes right back out like nothing ever happened. They completely boat raced Sacramento, which allowed for him, I think, to potentially be playing on this back-to-back. If he had played 34, 35 minutes, maybe that would be off the table. But like, he's so cheap. For no reason, they reduced his salary by $600 for absolutely no reason. And it's created a massive headache as far as how you want to do this. I'm on board with right now just being overweight to Luka. I think Luka, even with Reeves back, just looks ridiculous. He has the point guard eligibility, and considering Ayo has shooting guard, considering, we have some other pieces that we can kind of rotate around. Like, I'm not going to say Luka's forgotten because he's still like 20% owned, but like, when you infuse value, I'm always looking to the top. I'm looking to Luka and Wemby the same way that you are. And because of the center position with Durant, because of the center position now with Wemby and Vooch, I think there's just going to be a path to me getting to an ungodly amount of Luka Doncic on this slate against Charlotte.
20% owned, 25% optimal prior to this updated news, but we've got Wemby sitting there at 1%. AD, not somebody I really want at 9,900 today, whether he plays or not. And then, obviously Giddey's going to be removed here, but the whole 9K range, AD, Booker, Paolo, Mitchell, you got Miles Bridges, 8,800, 5% owned. Like, 25% boom, 25% boom, 25% boom, 25% boom. One of those 4 guys, just statistically, is going to be a guy you're really happy that you had. And they're unowned. I love this sort of pay up area as my way to be different. Like, if I'm going to build out that first lineup and it's like, all right, I got this, and this, it builds it out and Luka's in it. Like, I'd be more than happy to just turn him into Wemby to make that lineup more unique. And that has nothing to do with Luka. That, you can make that Booker or Banchero or Donovan. Like, I want to be in this area more because there's nothing here.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, what's really wild to me, obviously the Wemby piece just is so different now than what it was a second ago. Do you think Anthony Davis plays? Because I think my interest in Giannis is dependent on Anthony Davis rather than like me wanting to play Anthony Davis. I have basically no desire to do that at 9,900.
He's like, he can't. I have no idea with that dude.
Yeah,
no feel whatsoever.
Okay, well,
he could play and be the highest scorer today, and that wouldn't shock me.
It would shock me. Anthony Davis in 28 minutes. He's not going to play 34 or 35.
That's fair. But that's a good point.
He will.
I trust nothing when it comes to that dude. Like, would you be surprised at all if he just did play 36 minutes? Because I trust nothing coming out of Dallas any longer. Asar Thompson out. Karis LeVert out.
Yeah. Hi, Javonte Green. God damn it. All right. Also, I did see
JB Bickerstaff might have to play.
Yeah. Shout out Pete Shepard. Ain't going to hit some threes for sure. He loves 4+ threes for Anthony Edwards. Or I think it was 4.5. I think was the adjusted number. I looked at plus money. It looked pretty efficient to me, Pete. I'm sorry. But anyway, continue on.
Okay, so we're figuring what? Cade, Duncan Robinson, Javonte Green, Ron Holland, and Duren.
Say that one more time.
Cade, Duncan Robinson, Javonte Green, Ron Holland, and Duren.
Those are the 5. That's my exact starting 5. I'd be shocked if it was something different than that.
Hornets will start Sexton, James, Knipple, Bridges, Kalkbrenner.
Yep.
So I just took those guys out right now. I have 50 minutes to redistribute through these stupid Pistons, and they don't have that many guys.
I will say I'm going to get some CLV on triple-double for Cade Cunningham. North of plus 1,500 for Cade. There's no rebounding that is being provided by Javonte Green and Ron Holland, really, even though Ron Holland, I am on his 17.5 points plus rebounds. But, like, you are getting a far inferior rebounder out there. And Cade, he hasn't hit double digits yet in rebounding. This would be the time against Washington. I feel pretty good about that ticket at the moment. But let's dive in because this is going to be just complete nonsense.
Yeah, I'm really excited to get our projections update. So for those here, Asar Thompson out, Karis LeVert out, Isaiah Stewart out. Just for reference, Jaden Ivey out, Marcus Sasser out, Tobias Harris out for the Pistons today. You know what the really funny part of this is?
What?
They're still going to be like sizable favorites.
Oh, yeah. They're going to be double. It's not going to get below 10, which is insane. But the other part that I'm just having a headache with, Josh, is how many guards that they have that they can play. They can play Jones, Lanier, Javonte Green, not Karis LeVert, he's gone now. Duncan Robinson, Jenkins is there as well. Something is going to break from these guys that, I mean, they're just such creative players. And this is kind of like preseason going back through. I'm actually going through some of the preseason box scores and looking up who had like actual fantasy rates and things that we can actually point towards out of the guards. Cause like, there's going to be somebody who plays a little bit more at 3,100 or 3,200 down here. And I don't know who it'll be, but like Ron Holland, they have this Clintman guy behind him, Bobby Clintman. He played 15 and 6 minutes. I have no clue who Bobby Clintman is, but he's going to have to play a lot. He's just going to have to. Like, what else are they going to do?
Danish Jenkins played 22 minutes 7 games ago. If that helps.
So dumb. Oh, God.
I don't have a great idea of how to give these. If I just start handing out all of these additional minutes to every one of these clowns, if I give them all 14, I still need more.
Yep. Get ready to know Tolu Smith, friends. Get ready. Get ready. Remember the name Tolu Smith.
Danish Jenkins, Tolu Smith, Bobby Clintman, and Chaz Lanier. Yeah, they sound like NBA guys.
Oh my God. Okay, so can one of these guys play alongside Duren? Like any of them? Isaac Jones, no.
He can shoot. Or am I thinking about a different Jones?
I just remember Isaac Jones from Sacramento. That's literally all I remember him from was.
I mean, none of these guys have any real sample for anything. So
I'm going through preseason box scores right now. Probably should have done that work earlier, but it's also 20 minutes before lock. And the number of chances that you're going to get over the course of an entire NBA season, like we have 6 more months, like I'll be okay not necessarily making my stand on one of these guys, but shit.
I don't know what we're going to be doing. I'm anxious to see whatever we do when this reloads.
Yeah, I'll judge it after the fact like everybody else. That's what I'm looking forward to. Have fun. Who's on projections today? Jason?
Not me.
Okay.
Either Rich or Jason.
It was Jason or Rich, because I
have no idea.
I just want to thank them for their service. And I do not want in any way, shape, or form to have that kind of responsibility on me today, because honestly, this is just make-believe what we've got behind him. Tolu Smith, 28 minutes, 1.4 DraftKings points per minute this season. Okay.
That's definitely a number of minutes.
It's 28. This guy hot 1 second. No, he didn't even do anything. He 56% true shooting. He had a 40%. No, that can't be right.
I just reset my stuff quickly. Let me see. I mean, Holland looks better. Javonte Green at 3,700, shooting guard, small forward, is now one of the best plays on the slate. Cam Whitmore is still in this game at a $3,500 price tag that probably doesn't matter now.
Nope. So this is the
whoever gets 20 from all the guys that are made up, that guy's probably going to look decent. But Rich with the message. You're talking Kyle Filipowski. Rumors have Ace Bailey starting for Utah. So they really are trying to tank if they're going to start Ace Bailey.
Oh, stop it. No, they're just trying to limit Isaiah Collier's minutes. That's literally what you're doing on a back-to-back is like you see Keontae George and you're just going to limit him. Oh, you really don't like Ace Bailey.
No, he's not any good right now. That's the fastest way to be extra bad is to keep him out there.
You got to be like somewhat realistic about how many minutes you can play a guy who's still dinged up. And it is funny because Ace Bailey was like pulling all the strings to say, I don't want to go here. I don't want to go there. He ends up in Utah and he's just been abysmal to start off his NBA career. But like, he's got an NBA bot. Like he's going to be fine. He's going to be fine. He's not going to be like elite or anything, but he's going to be fine.
He's going to be overrated by YouTube chat for the next 10 years I do this job. By a mile, like by infinite amount. The gap between real and fake is going to be bad. I hope I'm wrong because, like, obviously he's physically gifted. I hope he becomes awesome. It'll be fun to watch. I don't expect it.
Yeah, I don't think he's some elite talent or anything. You watch him, he's still pretty darn raw. But I think Ace Bailey is much better than you do. It would appear, but. That's just me. He is the worst fantasy producer on the entire Utah Jazz. I always think that's funny when I pull up box scores.
We don't have the Detroit update in here, but Dosunmu got to 50 before it was here. Trey Jones got to 35. Kevin Huerter got to 30. So this is going to wiggle even more now when this Detroit info hits.
Hold on to your butts. This is going to get stupid. I just want to know the cast-offs that we're going to be getting to, that we're going to like potentially be entertaining on the Detroit side. Because like they didn't play like, I mean, they're playing Washington where there's a realistic chance if you have a good fantasy point per minute rate, there's a good chance you get 8 minutes without Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren on the floor because you're up 25 or 30. Like it's just one of those spots. Like it's not the most likely outcome by any means, but like they're definitely relevant no matter what.
They are. So as we wait to see this projections update and get an idea of what we're looking at, we got to talk at least a little bit about how you can sign up at Stokastic and get our sims for free. You see the links on the screen right now. Whether you're trying to sign up through one of our partners and they're a sportsbook or a pick'em site, you can see them here. Click the link in the description. All of the instructions will be on this page. It'll tell you exactly what you need to do, but it's simple. You'll follow those instructions. You'll click the link for whichever site you're signing up. They're going to have some sort of bonus for you. And then once you tell us that you did it and show us that proof, you get a month of the Sims for nothing. And these things stack up. If you've never signed up at a pick'em site before and you can, maybe you sign up for Better, Sleeper, Chalkboard, Underdog. That's 4 months of the Sims for no cost to you whatsoever. Cunningham, Robinson, Holland, Green, Duren is the starting lineup. Sign up at Stokastic. Link in the description.
Yeah, we nailed it. That one was easy.
Yep.
But
they didn't have many options.
The Bulls one's a little bit more intriguing to me. Just like, do they start Kevin Huerter over Io? That would be I think, is that, I'm pulling up the lineups page over at Stokastic here as well. I'm assuming that's the inference based on the optimal rate that I just uploaded for Kevin Huerter, 42.73%. Yeah, it's a big number. I assume we think he's starting.
My guess is yes. I can pull that up right now. Trey Jones, Kevin Huerter as Isaac Okoro, Matas Buzelis, Nikola Vucevic.
That's the only thing the data is telling me with that is that we probably have that assumption. And then they threw out the minutes limit for a bench guy, which is pretty hilarious. But there you go.
All right, Jeff Williams hit us with a super chat earlier, said Huerter, Black, last man in on DK.
I think he's saying Huerter or Black, last man in on DK between the two of them. Kevin Huerter.
I mean, it's Huerter. Yeah.
Agreed.
utility spot, $6,200 left. I already have Trey Jones.
Desmond Bane.
Yeah, it's Desmond Bane. Favorite player at each position, FanDuel.
Oh God. I'm probably I trimmed it down to 25 lineups on FanDuel so that I don't be completely obnoxious. I had 50 and
Trey Jones, James Harden, Ron Holland are 1, 2, 3, whichever positions you're trying to go to for that. Jalen Duren is the center.
Correct.
And then we need a forward. And at this moment, it looks like it's Kevin Huerter, but there are options.
Yeah. Ron Holland, John Collins is very much in play for the FanDuel slate. John Collins, like getting that evening game, getting that Clippers game is a big deal over there because no Kawhi just opens up many, many doors. Just we're going to get eternal John Collins. And then you're going to want to turn Atlanta stuff potentially into wherever John Collins was, because we've got 2 Q tags on FanDuel, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Jalen Johnson. That was the whole point of me wanting to play FanDuel today, was like, all right, how many people are going to be late swapping onto as much of Mo Gay and as much of who was the other guy who absolutely smashed? Asa Newell. Those are the 2 guys that just, their fantasy point per minute rates were absurd. And we had talked a little bit about Newell, probably not as much as we should have, but that was one of those slates where you just played 100% of Mo Gay or you were an idiot. So like, that's kind of the way I feel today, where it's like, if Jalen Johnson ends up out, I'd want eternal amounts of that guy.
I believe we have an update.
Okay.
Ron Holland, 57, Dosunmu, 50, Duren, 48, Trey Jones, 35, Kevin Huerter, 33. Maybe not. I'm not seeing as much Detroit as I would have expected. Javonte Green, 9. Okay. Paul Reed down to 9.
Just far less important. We got value. We were I wouldn't say we were value starved, but we had like high 4s, low 5s. Now you don't need the Paul Reed shot. And now Paul Reed is actually fun for tournaments because you could get the Duren piece out and that's what I said. You swap it out and you just play Paul Reed. I really don't want to play Duren and Reed in the same lineup now. I can tell you that much, Josh.
No, not so much. I'm fascinated by Javonte Green now at 3,700 with guard forward eligibility and no ownership, compared to Ron Holland being 57% owned. Larry Nance out.
I'm Ron Holland. Isn't that weird? Yeah. They also have Karis LeVert out. Javonte Green's never been a great fantasy producer, but they are so low on wings, like actual wings on today's. They have guards and they have centers. They don't really have wings. So like Javonte Green should play a lot today. And can I get, Rich said to refresh, we should be good to go. But boy, oh boy, I'm very excited to see what we have here.
Okay, Javonte Green is 56% owned. That was the refresh that I needed to do, which makes sense because none of that looked correct to me at all. 65% ownership to Duren, 65% ownership to Ron Holland, 55 to Javonte Green. By the way, Supreme Juice, great call on that. Javonte Green's a no for today. Call. Io Dosunmu is 50. Trey Jones, 32. And then we got a pack of 25s. Cade now is the most popular pay-up option. Luka Doncic and Anthony Edwards. So we've got this pack now of the pay-up guys looking different.
I'm quite positive that this is going to be an awesome NBA slate for anybody who late swaps and pays attention to anything. Like Javonte Green is an awesome play. He was an awesome play. As soon as that came down, we knew he was going to start. And yeah, I wish he was 9%. That would have just been electric, but he will not. I do not think Javonte Green gets to 56%. And like the $4, especially 20 max cap, there's no way he's going to be over 50%. So like I might full on jam Holland and Green because of positionality. The Duren one is very freaky to me. I will say that is a ton of people. And he's been like the guy for like a week. And it's a back-to-back. And I think there are ways to get different at center, Josh. I think you do too. I am trimming that down and I am terrified because, yeah, he could just copy paste 50 in automatically and you have to go beat that, which would suck. But
Like, he looks great. The matchup doesn't get any better. Should just absolutely smash these guys. But there's just so many other actual real centers that it just, I'm going to have, like, I know I'm going to have like 50% of Jalen Duren by default. I don't think I'm going to be able to get away. He's just too good of a value right now. But I do hope that I get a bunch of those like 6K centers that are actual starters.
Agreed.
It's time. It's time. It's time. It's time. Let's go fun. Fun one first. We've reached the time of the show that everybody wants. It's time for the light of the night. Who you got? So we're looking at a pretty obvious option, and then after that, probably one other really obvious option.
I mean, assuming he starts, Kevin Huerter is just like unavoidable in this capacity. But I mean, I'll take the Luka side of it. I'll let you have Kevin Huerter. I love Luka. Just give me the raw fantasy points on a slate where we have a lot of value now. He's in north of 50% of my first run here on DK. FanDuel, I'm just finishing up, but Luka Doncic, the exotic play of the night.
You led me right to it. Yeah, I got to take Kevin Huerter here. Shooting guard only, 4,800. Perfect opportunity to just let it sail today. Light of the night, Kevin Huerter, man. He's like he might as well be the logo as far as I'm concerned.
It's a good jump shot. Well, we'll give him that. It's a good jump shot.
All right, rank the top payups on FanDuel. Cade.
Yeah, you're getting.
And then they're all the same.
Yeah, I honestly, I think that's the right answer. Is Cade and then spray and pray. And don't forget, we have James Harden, who is like the chalk of all chalk over on FanDuel because he's playing without Kawhi. And then there's a chance that you get Bradley Beal out. Not that he's been anything at all. He might just be complete dust at this stage, but you have so much Atlanta value that could show up that's just going to be so low owned, especially now that we have really, really good value. So like on FanDuel, what I'm contemplating is just giving a little bit of a boost to everybody on the Chicago side to just go a little bit past the Detroit side. So I at least get an extra hour to figure out what I want to do with the Atlanta piece, because if everybody plays, you're just dead. Like you're just stone cold dead. But if you play it straight up, like it is what it is. But like the nice thing is that there is a very obvious path to having the value and that news working out for you, because Mo Gay is just such a good fantasy producer. And seems like last year, people don't realize Mo Gay would start and he'd play like 10 minutes. Like it was a very different situation than what we've got going on for him now.
One more super chat to hit here. And it'll be a very quick one. Thoughts on pivoting from Holland to Robinson? Sure.
Yeah, you can do that. I will say, because of positionality, small forward, power forward on DK. My guess is that you're talking about something in like a utility, and I would really not want to play. I mean, you're just asking Duncan Robinson to go out and hit 7 threes. Like that's actually your path. Like I don't know if I love that as like a utility play where there are so many bigs and guys that are going to project exponentially better, or guys like Io and Trey Jones and things where using up those lineup spots, it's almost like you should almost be punished for taking a shooting dependent guy in the utility like that.
Cully Poston, Cade and Reed, or Duren and Bain? Duren and Bain.
Duren and Bain. Yeah, the Reed side is just not all that appealing in one lineup.
Yeah. Not that there's anything wrong with Reed there. Like it's fine. I just feel better about Duren and Bain.
It's the fun of these shows, though. 15 minutes. The things we were talking about at the beginning are so inconsequential to what the slate actually is now, and I hope people realize that.
Yeah, it's night and day now, which is kind of wild.
Every piece of news that could broke away from all of the Paul Reed that we were going to talk about. Like, it's not nearly the same guy now.
No. But that said, like, he's 2 quick ones. Oh, AD ruled out. He's 2 quick ones away from Paul Reed being like a thing. That's the real scary part. Derek Lively out.
Oh my God. All right.
Which, I mean, that one we knew was coming.
I will say PJ Washington, legitimately
Gafford game time.
Very, very interesting play. Gafford is game time. All right. Yeah. I don't think Dwight Powell is something that I really want to entertain all that much. We saw 1 game from him so far this year. He's very, very cheap. He's, had moments. They're going to need bodies out there against, I don't know, Giannis and Miles Turner. So, they'd prefer to get Daniel Gafford in. But if he can't go, he can't go. And you're basically looking at an insane amount of minutes potentially for him there. This Moussa Cisse guy, or Moussa Cisse, he's played a lot at the 4. Did I get that name right?
Yeah, look, if Gafford is out, like, Dwight Powell's going to play. And that's going to be a thing.
Fuck. Yeah. I didn't have Dwight Powell in the chamber in my range of outcomes, bro. It was not.
I mean, look, if Gafford's in, then it probably doesn't matter all that much. But if he's not, it matters.
Hit the nuke of the night. We've got a new nuke of the night.
Oh, no. Here it comes. Kaboom.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you kind of pulled this shit like a week ago, and it worked in spades with beef stew. The floor is yours, fella. Go for it.
All right. So we're never going to have another beef stew, but we do have an opportunity here, I think, to get to somebody who should absolutely destroy tonight in the event that you have to have him play like the bigs. And we've seen Dallas go very small in certain capacities. Has to be Najee Marshall, man. Najee Marshall is not going to get played nearly as much as he should. And there's a chance that he ends up starting and they have PJ Washington at the 5 / Najee at the 5. And this is one of those matchups where Najee can create. I think D'Lo is not in a good place right now with the Dallas Mavericks. Since he got put into the starting lineup, has been complete dust. And Najee has eaten up more of the usage there. This could just be a minutes play where, like, they have to, by default, just try to spray and pray, spread the floor out, knock down shots. But the spread isn't going to get that crazy. Cooper Flagg's a good defender. They might have to just do this in a different way. I think Flagg's going to look all right to me as kind of a GPP play. I think PJ Washington's going to look all right as I update everything. But my favorite play of everybody, Najee Marshall, nuke of the night.
I love it. I like the call. He's good. And he'll, like, doesn't really matter what's going on for Dallas. He fits in any sort of lineup. Like, whoever's in or out, he can play up and down the positional spectrum. So that tends to help him out quite a bit. I like the shout. I got to look at my exposures now so I can hand out my nuke. Oh, who's it going to be?
Okay, my FanDuel nuke for what it's worth. Just in the event that Jalen Johnson sits.
Fuck it. Let's have some fun.
That's the spirit.
Jalen Duren, 65% owned. Ron Holland, 63% owned. Javonte Green is 55% owned. Cade Cunningham is 25% owned. Tons of, even 15% ownership coming into Paul Reed right now. Those are all guys on Detroit, but this is not the same Detroit team that has been playing so far this season. They are missing countless bodies. And while the matchup doesn't seem like the way you would want to go, I'm feeling optimistic. Alex Sarr, you are my nuke of the night.
Whoa. Come on, son.
25% of my lineups, 2.5xing him. Everybody else that I'm heavily over the field on are all the standard issue chalk guys that are at the top of the table right now. No one's paying attention to the Wizards side of this one. Alex Sarr, very talented. Maybe today works.
Les Miserables, Renaissance. The guy's fighting. Sophomore season. Finding ways to be effective. Fantasy points on the rise. And if you want that game to stay close, you better play pretty good, because apparently Chris Middleton just doesn't want to play basketball anymore. Just absurd. So yeah, I'm here for Alex Sarr. He's about the only functional NBA player over there at the moment.
What's that line now?
I don't know. I wish I had bet it. I did bet Milwaukee for what it's worth. I thought Anthony Davis, far more likely. You hear all the rumblings about everything going on there. I thought it was far more likely that it was just like, oh shit, Anthony Davis is probably not going to play for another game or so, and we have to defend our existence. Speaking about Nico in this example.
11.5.
Wow.
Dude, the Wizards blow. You know who doesn't blow? The Green Bay Packers and the Philadelphia Eagles, and they're going to play a football game tonight. We lock NBA in 3 minutes. NFL live before lock coming up shortly, and they are going to be breaking down Monday Night Football. Clearly, don't want to miss that one. You guys love the NFL, and that's an actual big game for Monday Night Football.
I shouldn't have played two sites today. This was really stupid.
It's always stupid.
Well, thank you. Appreciate you.
Really, if you're not on a show, it's too much.
It's a lot right now. My head is spinning right now because I have to like boost the ownership of Najee just to get him in stuff. And then I have to do that for two different sites and simulate out the slate in time. And I have 3 minutes left? Great. I'm not going to get these in. There's no chance. There's just no chance.
If it helps, you only have 2 minutes.
Thank you.
It's
it helps so much.
Now. And this isn't baseball. It doesn't lock at 7:05. Cavs will start Garland, Mitchell, Hunter, Mobley, and Allen. That one we weren't waiting on. That's for sure. I'm fascinated by the pay-ups today.
I'm not going to get these lineups in. There's just no way. There's no way.
And I'll keep filibustering and rambling for the next 2 minutes.
Don't
forget, guys, since we didn't talk about it yet, you should be following Eric and everybody involved at Stokastic on Tails. This is going to, where is it? There it is. And if you do follow us on Tails, this is what we'd really love for you to do. There's a link in the description of this video, but download the Tails app. If you're looking for bets and pick'em cards and all sorts of different stuff in the sports realm, I drop DFS stuff on there too. Download the app, give us a review. It is massive for us, and it's going to take you guys like 40 seconds to get this done. Drop us a review. It helps us out a ton. We're trying to grow this app, and the more that we can grow this app, because when you guys leave these reviews, it's like exponential growth in the App Store. Every one we get is huge. So if you could help us out there, we would really appreciate it. That would be very nice.
All right, so I'm playing 100% Cade Cunningham on FanDuel now, so that's cool.
Fair. That's fair. You've got 30 seconds, so keep yourself focused.
Okay, I got this. I'm going to get the DK ones in. This is actually going to be okay when it's all said and done. I have like 90% Duran on FanDuel. I'm not going to play him at all. On DK. I'm not going to play him at all on FanDuel. So there we go. That's there. That's uploaded. That's uploaded. And we are done. Oh my God, dude.
10 seconds to spare, brother. Good work.
Oh no.
Good work.
No, I have Sexton in. I don't want Sexton.
One lock.
I got him all in. I got him in all in on FanDuel. Nope. I have 100% Sexton. I have 100% Sexton on FanDuel. Ah!
Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to late swap that one. It locked, as did some other games. Look, I mean, at least he plays. Like, there are worse ways to do this. Last time somebody did this, former friend of the program, Adam Scherer, I think won $100,000 by accidentally locking people in.
Yeah, I had an 8K Joel Embiid 100% lock at 4% one time, but you know what? That was also one time, Josh. It was one time. This was
you need your one time right now on Colin Sexton today, man.
5,800. And he's at the point guard spot, which is just exponentially worse. Like, what have I done with my life? What am I actually doing with my life? Why do I do this?
20% owned, 20% optimal. That could be way worse than it is. Look, you get that spot right, man. You only need 8 more.
Colin Sexton, 100%. He was in my dummy, and so I just didn't notice it. I just was like, I'll swap this and I'll deal with it after. And now I'm just so fucked. Oh, I hate everyone. Oh.
Well, that was an amazing NBA Live Before Lock, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that. NFL Live Before Lock is going to be coming up shortly. Eric, tell the people where to find you.
Go to Tails.
Tails.bet, folks. Go to OddsShopper.com if you're looking for some Portfolio EV. Our NBA Portfolio EV product is exceptional. It's been smashing for like 3 years now. Come on in. It's simple. Follow Greg Ehrenberg. He's dropping bets like that constantly. Has the bankroll management or bankroll challenge going on as well. So he's taking these bets from Portfolio EV, funneling to you guys. We got tons of stuff for DFS, sports betting, pick 'em, whatever you're looking for. All you got to do is follow. We'll talk to you later.